Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you know what that sound means. Time for In the Paddock F1. Greeny and the cheese. The second stop in Asia for the 2025 F1 calendar sees a return to a place we know and a place we love. Round 3 has us back to returning to Japan for the 39th time as the Japanese Grand Prix. Japan is known for its cherry blossoms, which are in full bloom right now since the springtime, boys and girls. Mount Fuji, cutting-edge tech, bullet trains, anime, and Mike's personal favorite, that karaoke. What's your go-to, son?
I should have known that one was coming. Listen, I'll go Neil Diamond any day of the week. Anything from the vast catalog. Anything from the Neil Diamond catalog is good with me. You will not argue with that either. I know that.
I know travel show, this is an F1 show, and we're racing the classic Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles, 1 DRS zone, 18 corners, and some classics in there, like Dunlop, the Degner, Spoon Curve, and of course 130R. You give it the full beans for 65% of your lap, and oh man, Max had a surprise pole. Check this out. His first pole since Austria of last year. How about that, Craig? Just stick that little funny little stat there in your head. But ahead of that, he was ahead of Norris. But right off the bat, Max just said, no. We're going back to last year's old school. Max just dominated, absolutely. Just off the start, took it, and ran with it the rest of the whole Grand Prix. Lando second, Piastri third. We are caffeinated, we are medicated. Good day, sir.
Good day. Get fired up. Another ridiculously, insanely late night, drinking your coffee, drinking your tea, drinking whatever you got to drink to stay awake. In the Paddock F1, Greedy and the Cheese. Don't forget to email us inthepaddockusa@gmail.com. And of course, I guess the best way to interact with the show right now is on YouTube. Hit us up on YouTube. Just go and type in Greeny and the Cheese and or In the Paddock F1 podcast. We got a lot of you guys listening on so many different platforms now. It's pretty awesome seeing all the feedback via the email. Those of you chiming in on the YouTube. Appreciate everything. Appreciate everyone's contributions. Could not do without you. So hit us up. Join the show. And
that subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe button. We need all the subscribers we can possibly get. We're not going to go bot on you like some other shows do. I won't name any names. Like I always say, when you have 360,000 subscribers and 7 comments on your video, I don't know. It just sounds fishy to me. So we're not fishy. Everything we do is the real deal, of course, as always. And that's why we're here. We're here for you guys and here to enjoy a show and share some fun and have some laughs after each and every race and every single week. So, of course, we get first to top stories. I don't even know what the top story is. Is the top story Max Verstappen winning? Or is the top story McLaren losing? Obviously, double podium for them. They come in as they started top 6 in quali, finished top 6 in the race. So kind of a boring race. I don't want to classify it as boring, but a lot of the drivers called it boring. Ali B, the Bear Man, comes out first and says this is a boring race as he scores a point. We'll get to that in a little bit. But geez, what was it, man? Was it Max?
Nobody could pass. Nobody could pass. That was, that's what made it kind of boring, because kind of where you started was where you've kind of finished for a lot of the drivers. Max was just absolutely brilliant. The quali lap, the get it on pole, won. When McLaren was by far the favorites from everybody saying McLaren should just crush it this weekend, which they pretty much were through all the practice sessions. It was Oscar and Lando going back and forth on quickest times, but they were the quickest car all weekend. But Max just absolutely brilliant drive in the race, managing the pace. I mean, Red Bull almost gave it away there in the pit stop because they were seconds slower than McLaren. So it had that like almost side to side there coming out of the pits, but that was just brilliant performance by Max. I mean, again, shows his elite talent, being the best driver in Formula One, and why he's won 4 consecutive world titles. Plain and simple. I mean, do you want to say McLaren possibly blew it because you got to take advantage when you can, especially before the other teams really start to catch up? So you could go, kind of either way, but I'm gonna say Max instead. Just that performance was absolutely brilliant in a car that is not anywhere near as good as the McLaren is.
A single point separating Max Verstappen and Lando Norris now, I believe 62 to 61. Obviously, we're in the very beginning of the season. We're only 3 races in. Very interesting as we're seeing 2 drivers separate themselves from the pack and 1 constructor separating from themselves from the pack. Once again, Red Bull does not score any points from their second driver. It's Max Verstappen on his own, as we also, a little bit down the line, have a double point for Mercedes, double top 6 again for Mercedes. I believe Kimi finished 5th, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I think the most entertaining thing of the day had to be that one coming out of the pit stop. That was probably the highlight of the day, when Max and Lando were coming out there.
Did you hear what Oscar said in the post in the little room there after the race for the top 3? Oscar goes, after they show the highlights, he goes, "That's it?" That's what he said. He's like, "That's it? That's all the highlights you got?" Like, that's how boring and just nothing really happened. Nobody could pass. That was it. There wasn't your usual tire degradation because of the one sector being resurfaced. So there wasn't as much wear.
I think it's a little ridiculous to call it boring, and I know that's the word that everyone's using right now, is boring. I guess the biggest story going in, when you're going to have the Yuki situation and Liam Lawson is definitely the biggest story going in, which is not, 2 premier drivers we're talking about here. Ferrari was quiet all day, finishing an admirable, I think, 4th and 7th. But quietly, but is it boring to see guys just racing at their best? I believe every single driver finished. There was no DNFs. Every driver finished. I think Lance Stroll was the only driver to finish more than a lap behind. He finished dead last, back where he belongs. But his Aston Martin stinks. If it wasn't for the one race for Lance Stroll that was in China. But other than that, really, you really got a situation where... and I forget where I was going with this one, but you really got a situation where you have a race where everyone finishes, everyone drove well. Obviously, some of the drivers afterwards were saying felt like 52 laps of qualifying, because of just the inability to pass. It felt like Monaco a little bit today, maybe a lot today. But are drivers, the best drivers in the world, driving as best as they possibly can, boring? It could be, but the talent it takes to do what these 20 drivers did today is pretty amazing. And the fact that you only had 1 driver get lapped, and the fact that you look at the final times of today's race. I had them up here a moment ago, but you're looking at the final times that 30 seconds between 7th and 1st. Max was winning by larger margins than that just, a year or 2 ago. Yeah. And now you have that between the top 7 drivers. Is it boring to not watch a driver, skid out, lose control?
I think it's boring not to see anybody passing anybody.
It is boring not to see anyone passing, but there was impeccable driving today.
Where you kind of started, that's kind of where you finished.
You almost had a pass coming out of the pit lane with Lando and Max. That was about it.
Yeah, that was it. It's not the excitement you really want for the, to promote your sport. Nobody wants to see here in the States, nobody wants to see a football game that's 6-3. Unless it's in like a blizzard or something.
Some people love watching defense, all right? Yes, 6-3 in a blizzard's still pretty amazing. It's a 0-0. It's a 0-0 game. It's a 6-3 game in football. It's a 1-0 baseball game.
You want to see something. You want to see some action. It's racing. You want to see some guys passing. You want to see guys passing. This is racing.
I think the only winner, and we'll get to our own winners this week, but I have so many winners, I'll slip this one in early, and that's Honda. I think Honda really got Yuki in there. They got the win with the Red Bull and that whole situation. Honda's got to be smiling ear to ear. They're the only ones, I would assume, that are smiling ear to ear at this point. All right.
That's fair.
You got anything else for our top stories this week?
No, I think that kind of covers it. Wasn't a lot there.
Wasn't a lot there. Well, not seeing a lot there. That I guess that would move right into.
I mean, if you wanted to dig deeper, you can dig deeper and deeper as much as you want.
We'll dig deeper in a moment, I'm sure, with our winners and losers, and somebody's got to get slapped. Interesting slap selections this week, which we'll get to in a few moments. But any bold predictions? Anything pop up after this weekend that you really looked at and said, wow, I look at this different now? Anything. He's deep in the tank now, boys and girls listening at home.
Maybe Sergio Perez wasn't as bad as we all thought he was. Maybe Max is just that goddamn good, and everybody else just can't buck the Bronco like Max can.
So is it bold to say that Sergio Perez may come back and maybe in a Cadillac next year?
Yes.
It's bold to say that?
After the way he ended in Red Bull, yeah, I think it can be, because you thought he was just off and away, but I mean, after you see what anybody else they throw in that other car does, maybe Sergio wasn't that bad. And Max is just that effing good.
Well, Sergio Perez did finish, I believe, 7th last year in this final standings. 7th or maybe even 8th in the final standings. So, I would venture to say that there's a possibility that there is not a second Red Bull driver in the top 10 final standings this year. You might have 3 different drivers driving that second seat in Red Bull this year. You might have 4 different drivers driving that second Red Bull seat this year. All right, so I am getting into my seat here. I'm strapping myself in because I'm ready to go around the lap. Cheese, I know you got it on your mind. I am ill-prepared today, but we're going to go to Quizmaster's Cockpit. It was a long night, another late race. I wouldn't say I'm excited to go to Bahrain next week, but another very, very, very late race in Japan. But I'm still ready. Take a lap around. We got 3 sectors. We got 3 questions from the Cheese. It's Quizmaster's Cockpit.
Are you ready, sir?
I sure.
All right. I think these are pretty simple. So as we know, if I said that, you'll bomb out somehow.
Somehow.
There we go. Question number 1, sir. When was the first Formula One Grand Prix held at Suzuka?
What year at Suzuka?
Yes, what year?
Because the first Japanese Grand Prix was not at Suzuka. So Suzuka was 87?
That is correct.
Bing! 87 it is.
Off to a very good start here.
All right.
Question number 2. What unique layout feature does Suzuka have compared to every other track in Formula One? What layout feature has a particular feature in its layout that no other track has?
The crossover?
What is that called?
Oh, I forget.
I'll give it to you anyway, but I want to see if you can give me the...
What do you
word.
call it when the roads cross over, the intersection they got? I don't know. What do they call it?
It's a figure 8, sir.
The figure 8. Figure 8. You know what I'm talking
But
You know what I'm
gave the
talking
crossover.
about.
I know what you were talking about. That's why I said I'll give it to you. Even though you couldn't give me figure 8, but
It's
I'll
not
give
an
it to
8. It's
you.
not an 8 though.
No, but it is the only track that crosses over in a figure. It's called the figure 8 because it crosses over.
That's good enough. Bing. By the way, 6 of 8 for the season right now. Once again, I have failed you. I feel like Darth Vader going to the Emperor right now and just saying I failed you because I have no music. The intense music, which we need to get. Because now, once again, I've made it to the third question. I'm ready for the purple sector. I'm ready to start this race from the starting line and start with winners. But I guess it's up to me and up to the next question, the final question you got. So what do you got?
How many drivers have won 4 Japanese Grand Prix in a row?
Just Max, right?
That is correct.
Just one.
sir.
That's one. Yes. Yes. That was a gimme. He gave it to me at the end there.
I said they were cupcake questions this week.
Those were truly cupcake questions this week. Those were. Oh, they didn't say figure 8, so maybe I lost. Maybe I got like a 95 out of 100. Maybe I'll start front row but second. How about that? That's but still front row for the first time all season, probably since last summer. I'm getting my front row here, purple sectors, and we go to winners, which completely throws off all my notes here. And geez, who do you got in the winner column this week?
Isaac Jar, 8th. I mean, especially struggling all through quali with the belts, rattling his pee bag, being just a mess. Top 10 finished way the hell in front of his teammate. So it's kind of embarrassing for Lawson there, but this is a solid finish
too. Apparently, his seat was broken or loose for the entire race, so he was having issues there. Isaac Hadjar. Oh, man. And to embarrass Liam Lawson like that. I know we talked about it during the week. I know I spoke about it several times over the course of the week and on some of our videos and whatever as well. But, man, he did it. Isaac Hadjar beat Liam Lawson. That shouldn't have happened. All weekend.
And, Alex Albon, he's been absolutely crushing it compared to Carlos. So I think you definitely have to give it to Alex. He's been I think it's finally getting that. He's actually has another driver on the team that's actually pushing him for the first time. Since he left Red Bull. So he's actually, showing some performance this year, which is, nice to see and pushing a little bit. So I'm going to give it to Alex Albon. Will be my second winner. Who you got?
You got to give it up to Mark. Once again, double. Where did finish sixth? I'm sorry, I said fifth before, but a fifth and a sixth for Merck. Mm-hmm. What a difference! Once again, beating out Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Antonelli beating Lewis Hamilton again. It's going to be a running joke if Kimi Antonelli finishes ahead of Lewis Hamilton at the end of this season. And I know you're not going to be happy about it if that happens. So hopefully a fire can be lit under their butts and they can start moving. But got to give it up to Merck. And, George Russell not finishing on the podium, but finishing fourth, keeping fourth position in the overall standings. I'm sorry. Fifth, fourth in the standings, finished fifth. So you got to give it up. Toto Wolff's doing a great job pulling this team back together, and you got to give it up for them. And of course, I'm going to give it to Ollie B because he's the man. 6 career starts, 5 times in the points in 6 career starts. How do you not give it up to a guy like that? As you said earlier, potentially the future driver of Ferrari. You're hoping once Lewis Hamilton, potentially maybe sooner than later, but we'll get to that later as well, moves over, Ollie B's going to be the man. And the maturity he's got already, he does not act like he's raced 6 races. And the fact that he's in 4 out of 5 times has scored points in the Haas. Holy crap! Especially with Esteban Ocon finishing 18th and couldn't get out of Q1, and Ollie Behrman's getting Q3. Holy moly! What a great weekend for him. Got to give it up to him. He's still a teenager. And as far as Kimi Antonelli, I didn't even mention first youngest driver ever to lead a lap in a Formula One Grand Prix as well. Did not mention that, so got to throw that back in there. And that, conversely, sir, takes us right into losers. I don't know if you got red in there or not.
Mention him in the a little bit there in winners for Albon, but Sainz has just been, he has stunk since he's gone to Williams. Like it's not good, just not good. He's got to step his game up because he wanted to just go to Williams for a year probably and go somewhere else, but he ain't going nowhere else right now with the way he's performing. We pumped him up last week or last show, and then he just fraps a complete egg this week, and that's Lance Stroll. Just absolutely disastrous. He said he got a big gust of wind on his during quali, which is, a bad break, but, everybody else had to deal with the same thing. So, just awful. Just awful. Awful performance. It seems every time we put him in the winners one week, the next race, he's like an absolute disaster. So maybe we shouldn't put him in winners ever again. Because every time we see him to do it, he just completely, it's awful the next race.
Oh, I disagree. We should put him in winners more often then. He was the only driver to get lapped this week. Only driver to get lapped. And which we didn't mention as well is that going into the weekend, teams were preparing for potential rain, which never came. Mm-hmm. So, just everyone raced so well except for Lance Stroll this weekend. He was definitely the worst. So, yeah. Got anyone else there?
Not with Sainz and Stroll, sir. That's 2.
Right on.
Who you got?
I got to go with Alpine. They still have, 0 points for Alpine? Yeah. They got nothing. Pierre Gasly and Jack Doohan. Once again, just nothing. And Pierre Gasly, I think he finished 11th the last 2 races, finishing 13th here. He's just... He raced well in the fall. He raced well to close out the 2024 season, and he had a pretty good showing. And something's wrong with Alpine. Definitely,
the car's just not good enough.
It's just really not good enough, and so they are a disaster. And You know what, Yuki Tsunoda and your home race, I know it's not fair to give him a loser this week, but to get out-qualied by Liam Lawson, I'm going to give you a loser for that. And I don't give too many qualifying losers. And if Yuki got a single point, I wouldn't put him in that column. But to not get a single point, be in the car you want to be in, that you deserve to be in, that you like you say. Obviously, get no prep in the car. It's very hard to drive, but finishing 12th, it's not good enough. Having the Haas beat you, that's not good enough. If he qualied better than Liam Lawson, there was a potential he was going to get points. He needed to qualify. He needed to get to Q3. And that's where he lost. And that's where Yuki lost this week. Not in the race as much, but just being poor in qualifying. And we talked about it last week. He needs to get to Q3. And he didn't beat out Liam Lawson in Q2. That's just sad. That's just a sad performance. And lucky he didn't get the slap this week, because you're warming yourself up. I know you're warming yourself up.
I need to slap my goddamn for that.
Because somebody is going to get a slap.
I think it's got to be the track officials this week. Will you water the grass, please? Will you just water the grass? I mean, for God's sakes, how many freaking red flags did you see over the weekend? Or this entire weekend with the grass catching on fire because the grass didn't have enough moisture in it. That's why it looked like yellow and brown and gross. How about you water the grass? How about that? That was ridiculous. Like dragons were flying around the track all weekend. It was out of control. If it didn't rain before the race this morning, you probably might have had a red flag for that. I mean, I asked you last night. I said, are there odds on the track catching fire during the race?
There should have been.
That's embarrassing. That's goddamn embarrassing. Water the grass. Get the hose out there and water the grass. Goddamn.
Sometimes it goes to a driver. Sometimes it goes to someone in the garage. And other times, it's just the damn field crew.
Oh, yes. I know that sound means. It's time to take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of Rito, where the beer flows like wine and the wine flows like beer. And the cannabis, oh yes. Oh yes, my friends, that cannabis grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it. Look at it out there. Green and luscious. Take a little whiff. That air smells fantastic. Take a little walk to the top of the hill with our tickets in hand. Are we cashing in or are we checking out? It's not a good weekend again, let me tell you that. It's been a rough start to the year this year.
It's rough. I don't even want to read like our record overall because it is bad. We both won one this week because we both put money down on Ollie Bearman. Finishing in the top 10. You were getting plus 125 on that one. We both had Lando Norris winning. I had the trifecta, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen, thinking those McLarens would be able to pass Max. But that didn't happen. I was doing the rain dance, hoping for some rain. That might have changed things around, unfortunately. That didn't happen. And here we are. We both lost 75 greenie bucks on our 4 bets. I had Williams. I bet 2 Williams finishing in the top 10. I got one. But Carlos Sainz, it's like you mentioned before, he's a mess. Something's wrong. Especially after such a strong showing last season in the Ferrari. Definitely something wrong there. So, didn't get that. And you had another bet, which I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but you lost that one too. What else did you have? But you had Charles Leclerc finishing on the podium, or
no?
Oh, you had George Russell finishing on the podium.
Yeah, because why not? He finished on the podium the first 2 races. Why not?
Why not, man? He wasn't far off, but fifth is not podium, so that doesn't count. So we both lost 75 greenie bucks. You, sir, are down to 4,450 greenie bucks. I'm down to 4,375 greenie bucks. So we're still within striking distance of each other, but we got some holes in our pockets and we got to sew them up. So next time we take a trip to the top of that hill, cash in hand, hopefully we got to start doubling it up or hitting a trifecta or something.
Need something. It's been a bad start to the year for everybody around. It's been rough. Casino is winning right now, and that's not what we want to see.
The house is winning.
Yeah, we gotta turn that crap around. It's been a rough start. We're usually not this bad to start off. Usually at the end we kind of crash out. But
maybe we get a little more cowboy at the end of the season.
We get a little more cowboy at the end, but that's because we had a nice early part of the season. It's not good this year. There might not be no cowboy because you might be out of cash by then. So.
Well,
we got to hit some stuff here.
Us going bankrupt isn't in the news just yet, but of course it brings us to the last segment of the evening, and that is in the news. In the news.
Few pieces for you this week.
You got a lot.
We kind of mentioned it earlier. Perez might be back in Formula One with Cadillac. Because Cadillac's looking for some drivers since they will be entering next year. And Perez is near the top of the list, probably because he brings along some big chunk of that sponsor money. That's what I'm going to bet. It's not smart. That's not a bad move. And apparently he doesn't look as bad as we all thought he did. So... News part number 2.
Whoa. Hold on. We pump the brakes there. You're supposed to, do the story and then I comment on the story. It's like I'm not even here.
We talked about it earlier.
I know we talked about it earlier. But I didn't mean to steal your thunder earlier in the program by talking about the possible move. But I did want to talk about Sergio Perez's sponsorship deals, which you did mention. So I did want to touch on that before we move on. And there are absolute monstrous sponsorship deals in Mexico for him. And that's really the impetus of Cadillac. And Cadillac needs the money. They need the upstart money. And there's a lot of it out there. And I don't think, as you mentioned before, Sergio Perez might be better than we all thought. And I don't know if Cadillac's going to even be able to be put in a position to score points. But who else are you going to put in those seats besides a bunch of 18 or 19-year-olds? So Sergio Perez might pay for himself and then some. So if Sergio Perez's sponsorship can more than pay for Sergio Perez in the seat of the car, and it could be a real match, especially if he's hungry to come back. And I would love to see Sergio Perez going against whoever the RB2 driver is going to be next season. And if he can beat him once in that Cadillac, that would be a story unto itself. And that's all I got to say about Sergio Perez. Story number 2, go for it.
Thailand is exploring plans with Formula One to have a Grand Prix be held in Bangkok. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Thailand's got a huge fan base. There's a huge Formula One fan base in Thailand. It really just depends financially, right? There's a reason Formula One has a race in Miami and Las Vegas now, and not another race in South Africa, not another race in Thailand already, or in other parts of the world that don't have the expendable cash of a glitzy Miami or Vegas. It's to me, it's
a lot of money.
It's where's the money at, and that's where you go. And I don't know if the people of Thailand, can throw down the cash, or are they depending on European and American travelers, or really European travelers, to go down there and spend buku dollars on a potential cheaper race, because Thailand is a popular destination for those, especially from the UK, to go. So maybe they'll make a weekend of it. Maybe they'll strategically place it on a holiday weekend in the UK. and people will go. Could be a destination situation.
F1 ain't going there exploring plans unless there's cash to back it. Let's just put it that way. Let's just
there had to be some kind of cash situation popping
there's
up.
There's cash backing it if they're going down there to explore a Grand Prix in Bangkok, all right? Let's be real. There's cash. The cash is there. The check is ready to be written. Because you have to put up a lot of goddamn cash to have a Formula One race show up at your track or whatever. So
these are
cash is there.
All right, what else you got?
Final one I got here. There will be a meeting this coming week to discuss a possible return of the V10 engine back to Formula One for the 28, 29, or 30 season. Probably more like the 29 or 30 season. That is interessante, if you ask me. Bring it back, please. Give me that roar back in the car. I don't care if it's a V10 or a V8. Just give me that damn roar. Give me that 20,000 RPM. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, you want to hear the roar of the engines. We spoke about it last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, about listening to the roar of the V10s. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't mean to be pessimistic. Sorry. But I'll believe it when I see it, when they actually got the V10 engines in the cars and they're testing them on track. Until then, don't get too excited, all right? Because they talk about a lot of things in Formula One that don't happen. So, don't get too excited. And I see your grin, how excited you are for those V10s.
Bring it goddamn back. Give me that screaming engine, yes. The gargle, the downshifts, oh my god, yes. You watch those videos. Even the V8, even the V8 of a number of years ago was that sound. That's Formula One. That's Formula One, that sound. The sound today is not. Bring it back.
It's evolution. Please. All sports evolve, sir.
Please.
That's how you stay alive. All right. We got a quick turnaround. We're going back to kind of where we started the season. Where are we going next?
We are heading to Bahrain in a week's time. As we like to say on this program, we're heading back to Arrakis, boys and girls.
It's going to be hot this time. It was very cool. It was cool, especially for Bahrain, during testing, but it's going to be sizzling hot.
Yeah, it's going to be a cooker. It's going to be hot.
So it's going to be a little bit different.
It's what happens when you head to the desert.
Desert's hot. Don't get eaten by a sandworm.
Okay, that's right. Don't let Shai Hulud get you. And make sure you have the blue eyes of Abad as well. Take that spice.
Until next time, we will see you again. Go to the YouTube channel. Check us out. Subscribe. Check us out on Apple, of course. And thank you for the partnership and everything Apple does for us. Go there. Follow us. Rate us. Give us a rating. Give us whatever stars you want. Just give us that rating. And thank you all for listening. Thank you all for helping us out. Say what you got to say, brother.
I will see you guys in a week's time. And as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.